We're here with famous comic book artist Tom Nguyen. Tom is both a talented airbrush artist, comic book artist, photographer, and bodybuilder. Tom, how do you budget your time to get everything done?
I don't, and that's why I'm constantly fighting deadlines. It's just my budgeting of time is basically what deadline is next, and then I move on to the next one. And being putting the pro and procrastinator, I usually wait till the very last minute to do it, and then I end up pulling all-nighters and losing sleep and aging faster. So it's not really the best way to manage time, but it gives me some structure just to look at the calendar and say, okay, well, I have to get this done next, so I do it next.
How did you get into bodybuilding?
Because I was sick of being having the body of a 100-pound high school girl. I graduated high school probably about 120 pounds, just under 120 pounds. And that's with a full backpack on, with books in it. And that's with a full stomach too, not going to the bathroom. 120 pounds, sopping wet. And you know, I was really self-conscious. I was always one of the shortest people, but definitely one of the skinniest people in school. So I just started lifting weights. You know, I had a buddy who was really into weightlifting, and he wrote me a really basic program. I followed it, and I bought a bunch of magazines like Iron Man and Flex magazine, and I just read it from cover to cover, not knowing or understanding anything that I read. And then I just, over time, gradually, I just started picking up some things and learning. Then I got a little bigger, a little stronger. I think I put on 20 pounds in my first summer, actually. And then one thing led to another. I went to a bodybuilding show for fun, and you know, for the first time I thought, well, I could do this, I think. And then I tried it, and it just took off from there. I never looked back, really. Except for the last couple of months, I've been slacking off. So.
It's addicting.
Yes.
Malcolm Gladwell wrote in his book Outliers that it takes 10,000 hours of practice to become a professional. Does it take 10,000 hours?
Oh, geez, I don't know.
Break into the comic book field?
I don't know if I've ever quantified my practice in that way.
How'd you get started?
All I know that is I've been drawing since I was, you know, before I was 5 years old. And that's all I would do in my spare time when I'm not in school or you know, having to do chores. And I just had a knack for it, I guess, and that's what I wanted to do. And I had this realization in junior high, and just went from there. I just knew that after I graduated high school, this is what I wanted to do.
You wanted to be an artist or comic book specifically?
It's comic book specifically.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was picking up a lot of Spider-Man stuff.
Oh, right.
Big fan of Spider-Man. And now I'm doing things to relieve stress from comic books. It's like
bodybuilding.
Yes, bodybuilding, you know, photography, and you know, just other things.
How did you get into the comic book? Like, you knew that's what you wanted to do, and how did you go after that and get
I was
reality?
really fortunate. When I was 15, I actually met my first comic book artist, a real pro, in person. And you know, to this day, he's one of my best friends, and he really mentored me, you know, through my late teenage years. And then he was a good connection to have as far as giving me advice and then helping me get my foot in the door when I was 19 years old, after 1 year at the U of M. So I broke in pretty early. I was pretty fortunate. You know.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Drawing comic books must simply tax the imagination. I'm just wondering, how do you recharge that?
Look at a lot of porn. Well, you know, for reference, for poses. I don't look at that smut, you know, for anything else. No, I just look at other works just to kind of get some inspiration. Sometimes if you do the same thing over and over and over again, you kind of get stale. And I think that goes with anything that's creative, you know. I look at other artists that I admire, you know, or I just look at magazines and pictures. Even for photography, I look at other photographers' work just to, you know, get some ideas and stuff. Not to blatantly rip them off, but
you might trigger something up
there.
Yeah,
or if I'm really stuck in a rut, I'll just go to sleep. That's what I do. I just take a nap. I wake up with a fresher mind. So yeah.
You draw the female form in a wonderfully beautiful style. Are your female characters based on past or current girlfriends, or real-life reference material?
Well, some of the villains might be based on past girlfriends. Some of the monsters.
That's really funny.
No, you know, I mean, well, thank you. First of all, it's very nice of you to say. My female characters are just kind of a combination of, I mean, what I kind of see is an aesthetically attractive face and figure to an average fan base. So, you know, a job that I think people think is attractive and cute, you know. And it's not always necessarily like just big boobs and a tiny waist, but you know, some variances in like the eyes and the hair and stuff like that. But I base it on models I find attractive, some magazine pictures, and also the way other artists who are good at drawing women, how they do their women. So I kind of grab a little bit of everything and I just kind of mash it up in my own style.
Okay. Who are your artistic heroes?
My artistic heroes, first and foremost, would have to be my friend that I mentioned earlier, Doug Mankey, and he's actually the artist on Green Lantern right now. He's the one that mentored me since I was 15. He's the biggest influence for me artistically. He's the reason why I'm in comic books. And I have other artistic influences I like in different fields. Like, you know, I'm friends with Steve Driscoll and Kent Lin, who are, you know, two of the top airbrush artists in the industry. Other painters, you know, like Olivia and Soriyama are known for their pinup paintings, you know, and I take a little from them. You know, guys that are good at drawing women, because that's kind of like my thing, I guess. So I kind of gravitate towards that. You know, guys in the comic book industry like Frank Cho and Adam Hughes and maybe a few others that I kind of stirring a blank right now. But yeah, just a few from my, you know, and then even photography, you know, photographers that I like, they kind of come in. I kind of view photography and comic book or artwork as a similar thing. You're trying to achieve the same goal, trying to create a beautiful image, just different ways of doing it with a camera or with a pencil or paper. So.
Kind of a sidebar, but out of all of the comic book female characters, either for what they do or what they look like, who would be your favorites?
Oh, geez. I guess Wonder Woman and Supergirl. And I mentioned that because I actually have done a Wonder Woman and Supergirl painting based off of real models. The Wonder Woman was based on a gal I met who was a former head cheerleader of the Minnesota Vikings. And she was really tall, really beautiful, had striking features, long dark hair. And when she actually contacted me and was interested in doing something, when I looked at her photos, I thought, you're the perfect Wonder Woman. It's like a casting. I'm casting people in certain roles, and then one of her teammates at the time was a blonde girl who had a perfect look in my painting for Supergirl, so I did a painting based on them. And they're, you know, both well known and iconic, and they're, you know, household names.
So it's pretty enjoyable.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm always kind of keeping an eye out for girls that could fit other roles. Like I want to do a series of X-Men girls paintings and stuff like that too, Catwoman or something like that. I've had people email me wanting to do it, but it just didn't have the right look.
Catwoman was my favorite when I was little.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
Well, maybe she'll be a Catwoman in the future. We'll see.
Oh yes, that'd be pretty cool. So what airbrush stuff do you use?
I have show and tell. I use an old Iwata custom micron that my buddy Steve Driscoll hooked me up with years and years ago. This is my hoodie bag here.
This is the dusty.
Yeah, this is the airbrush I haven't used in a couple years. Where did it go? They didn't bring it. And it's got like a bent part on it and stuff. So I gotta replace a needle on it. Here you go. It doesn't even have the handle on it. This is as ghetto as it gets. I got a CMB custom micron. You pour the paint in here, and you can see here how, oops, I almost fell out like a chair, how dusty it is and how dirty it is.
Oh yeah.
And,
you seasoned it, that's all.
Yeah, this is a badge of honor, it's a battle scar. Yeah. Just pour paint here, and then you hook up a hose that sprays air, and you just all over the place. So that's that.
For your photography, what camera do you use?
I use an old 5D classic. It's an older camera, but it still makes beautiful pictures. So it doesn't do video like the newer, like Mark II or Mark III cameras, but it's a workhorse for me. And then of course I've got my sweet lens. That's the cousin of that lens right there that's filming us. But my favorite camera, to be honest with you, that I like to use more than anything is my Olympus OMD. And this you can change lenses, but it's tiny. You can put it in a jacket pocket. And I'm seriously considering selling off all of my Canon stuff and just going all Olympus OMD Micro Four Thirds. Believe it or not, the image quality is that fantastic with it. So.
For a second, I literally thought you were gonna pull out your phone.
No, my phone sucks.
What was your favorite artistic project?
My favorite artistic project, comic book wise, is a series called Major Bummer. And it's a comedy superhero series, but no one's ever heard of it because it never really sold enough, and that's why it got canceled. And that was my favorite for two reasons. One, it was my very first professional gig. And two, I think of all the stuff that I've worked on, it was just the funniest. Because nowadays, most stuff is serious superhero stuff. That was just pure comedy, slapstick, just goofy stuff. And I like that. Other than that, my favorite things to work on are usually paintings, you know, the pretty models and stuff, the pinup stuff. But as far as what I'm proudest of is probably the instructional books here. The first one, how to draw, you know, comic books, and the incredible comic book women, which is both available in all fine bookstores everywhere and Amazon. So yeah.
And what are you currently working on?
Right now, I'm inking some Green Lantern stuff, which should hit stores. Well, they hit stores every month. So my name is still out there. I just wrapped up doing 100 Superman sketch cards for their Superman card set that's going to come out sometime soon. I think maybe this spring. And then what else? Oh yeah, artsamurai.net is our new website that I'm going to be doing some live instruction where I give out a homework assignment, and artists who are interested in learning more, they'll do the assignment, submit it. Hopefully I'll get to pick it and critique it online, and then I'll draw over it, and then I'll do a demo of the drawing myself. And hopefully every 2 weeks at least we'll do a 2-hour workshop live online for only $20 for 2 hours. You cannot find that deal anywhere from any professional artist, professional photographer, anywhere. So.
It's a really good opportunity.
Yeah,
actually have their stuff looked at.
Yeah, because you know a lot of people who want to break into comics or art, they live in a remote area where they don't have a chance to really meet or get access to a good teacher. You know, this is all interactive. Whoever signs up, you're in a chat room. You can talk to each other. You can talk to me, ask questions live while I'm drawing.
That's
so
amazing.
It's
That's
so
really cool
hopefully it'll go well. Artsamurai.net.
I highly recommend that if you were into comic book drawing. If I would totally sign up. Drawing and bodybuilding seem really time intensive. Does this leave you any time for TV and video games?
No, and I don't do video games at all. I don't watch TV. I'm so behind the curve. I just feel so out of the loop because I'm not on top of what the current TV gossip and shows and stuff. Video games, I don't have time for that at all.
Were you ever into them or not really?
I was like back in the classic Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat days, the old Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo and stuff, but the stuff these days with the shooting games and all the 3D spinning around, I can't follow that stuff. I'm just getting too old for that.
Too old for that stuff. Thanks for sitting down and chatting with us. It's really thrilling to interview you.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for being in lingerie.
Oh yeah.
Isn't this great? Life.